This guy is unreal. 76 minutes. That's all it takes for Messi to score the first hat-trick of his entire World Cup career. And somehow, the oldest player on the pitch looked like the youngest one.
His 16th World Cup goal and a hat-trick. He's from another planet.
It wasn't nostalgic, it wasn't sentimental, it wasn't one final dance. No, it looked like Lionel Messi had somehow entered another prime.
How would he handle it? He's 38 years old. He's going to be 39 in this tournament. We say that this game's continuously going younger and younger, like players are making their debuts and playing 100 games by the time they're 19, 20 years old now in the professional game for club and country. So for Lionel Messi to be doing this at 38 years old tells you the genius that he is.
200 battles in the Albiceleste shirt, 6 consecutive World Cups competitions. He has officially stepped into the Temple of the Gods, a place that, throughout the tournament's 96-year history, only a handful of players have ever reached.
Listen, we said before the game that this guy and the guy that we're going to see tomorrow, they're both on the moon. And he reminded us why he is who he is. Leo is just different. It's just a different topic.
At this point, FIFA should honestly investigate him, because this Lionel Messi is illegal to watch.
Mundo, Messi! Go, vamos!
Number one, the GOAT.
It's like fine wine, it's longevity.
Greatest of all time, no debate about it.
That extraordinary explosion beyond all limits was further highlighted by the number of 16 World Cup goals in his career, allowing Messi to officially equal the all-time record that had stood for nearly 2 decades, set by Miroslav Klose. This unprecedented achievement also made him both the youngest and the oldest goalscorer in Argentina's World Cup history.
We have, guys, just witnessed history. Lionel Messi dominating the game against Algeria, scoring a hat-trick, and with it, he has joined Miroslav Klose, the great German, on 16 World Cup goals, which is a men's World Cup record. So he needs one more to break the record.
To reach that monumental milestone, fans witnessed a masterclass that began with a goal in the 17th minute from a long-range strike, with the ball brushing past the goalkeeper's fingertips. In a coincidence almost too unbelievable to be true, that goalkeeper was Luka Zidane, the son of the legendary Zinedine Zidane. If the father was once the king of the 2006 World Cup, then the son had to pick the ball out of the net 3 times in a single night, proving that football has never believed in the concept of genetic privilege. But rather than the goals themselves, what happened immediately afterward became the moment that made the entire world stop. The cameras captured Messi in tears, but those tears were not born out of the joy of scoring, and the real reason was later revealed by the man himself during the post-match press conference.
No, la verdad que es una cuestión totalmente ajena a lo deportivo. Pasé unos días difíciles, complicados, pero nada, agradecido a toda la delegación, a todos mis compañeros, porque estuvieron siempre, como siempre, al lado mío, dándome mucha fuerza para que esté bien, y tuve la suerte de conseguir todos los sueños a nivel, o más de lo que podía haber llegado a nivel individual, a nivel grupal. Hoy estoy disfrutando de esto, de un grupo hermoso, de sentirme bien, por suerte, para poder disfrutarlo dentro de la cancha como siempre me gustó a mí.
Standing in front of countless media cameras, Messi emotionally shared the reason behind those tears, revealing the hidden struggles of a 38-year-old legend who stood in the middle of a historic moment in his own career, yet whose mind was somewhere completely different. It was then that viewers realised that the greatest man in this sport was, after all, still only human.
Pero sos el máximo goleador de los mundiales junto a Klose. ¿Mirás ese número?
No, la verdad que no. La verdad que es un honor, obviamente, estar ahí por lo que significa estar al lado de Klose, lo que está Ronaldo también ahí, pero creo que no significa nada, ¿no? Mbappé también, que hizo hoy 2. Al final es estadística y nada más. Si bien es un orgullo poder competir con todo ello, no significa nada. Para mí, Ronaldo, de lo que yo vi, fue uno de los más grandes y no está primero. O sea que queda solo en una estadística.
And then, when asked about having surpassed Ronaldo on the World Cup scoring chart, Messi responded with a level of humility that seemed almost absurd for someone who had just broken records, saying that statistics, in the end, are only statistics. Despite receiving endless praise for both his talent and his character, not everything was bright on that historic night for the Argentine superstar. The dark side emerged in a highly controversial moment when Messi planted his studs into the calf of Algeria centre-back Issa Mandi. What made it even more astonishing was that the referee did not even show a yellow card, and VAR completely ignored the incident.
I think, it probably should have been a red card in my opinion. It feels like the moment was missed because obviously the stills are making it look quite bad, but when the player was on the floor, you can see Messi had a level of concern towards him because he knew that he potentially has just done something there which could get him in trouble.
100% a red card for Lionel Messi. Should have been. We don't even have to see the still. If you see the live video, it felt like a bad challenge to begin with. Then you see the replay, and this is a bad challenge. Somebody has to take a look at this. Why is Simon Marciniak, the referee, not being called over to see this? It should have been a red card for Lionel Messi. As much as I love Lionel Messi, that was a clumsy challenge, a bad challenge, and you're raking the back of somebody's calf all the way up from the knee down to his ankle. Should have been a red card.
Amid the mixture of controversy and glory, in the present, few could have imagined that this peak had actually begun from one of the most painful low points in football history. The journey from tears at Camp Nou to an unexpected commercial empire. It all started with the image of a man standing before dozens of cameras, his voice trembling, a tissue in his hand. My family and I were certain that we would stay here at home, Messi said through tears. After 23 years and more than 670 extraordinary goals, it all ended in brutal fashion because of figures on a balance sheet that Messi had absolutely no control over. It was that cruel financial barrier that pushed him into a stormy new chapter with PSG, opening up the hardest 2 years of his career. The Argentine superstar was constantly booed by part of the home crowd, suffered back-to-back exits in the Champions League round of 16, and missed a penalty against Real Madrid that is still turned into memes to this day. By 2023, his dream of returning to Barcelona collapsed for a second time, not because Messi didn't want it, but because financial realities once again blocked his path, according to his own words later on. Standing at that crossroads, the final destination he chose was MLS with Inter Miami, a club that was only 3 years old in a league that much of European football had long considered a place for early retirement. Yet it turned out to be the place where Messi rediscovered his love for football. Today, walking into any supermarket in America, people can see his image everywhere, from selling potato chips to beer, and there is even a chain of building supply stores selling inflatable Messi figures for people to place in their gardens. From a boy who had to inject medication every night in Rosario to becoming a pop culture icon, recognised even by people who do not know the offside rule, it is a journey so extraordinary that even Hollywood screenwriters would struggle to make it believable. However, Messi's journey to the summit and the writing of this Hollywood script at international level was never the story of one man alone. The major turning point came in 2018, when Argentina decided to hand the managerial position to a man who had never coached a major club and who had only earned 7 caps for the national team during his playing career. The decision was even publicly mocked by the legendary Diego Maradona.
Y nosotros los argentinos tenemos a muchacho Scaloni, que vuelvo a repetir, no tiene la culpa él de estar ahí, A Scaloni lo empujaron ahí y él está ahí. El problema es que se crea técnico mañana Scaloni y diga, no, yo quiero ir al Mundial. No, Scaloni. Poder ir al Mundial de motociclismo, no, de fútbol no.
An unknown and heavily doubted man was Lionel Scaloni. His arrival immediately opened a new chapter in the team's destiny, and the very first thing he did, even before being officially announced, was pick up the phone and call Messi. There was no drama, no power struggles. It was simply a normal conversation between two men who had both spent years carrying the burden of endless doubts. That quiet connection later became the foundation for a major turning point following the Copa America semi-final defeat to Brazil. Scaloni abandoned the idea of copying France's style and instead transformed Argentina into a team that dominated possession, and that was also when the new generation of young players truly bonded with Messi. Unlike many generations before them, these young players had grown up watching him on television and were now willing to sweat and fight alongside him instead of simply standing and watching their captain solve everything by himself on the field. That unity and profound tactical transformation quickly bore fruit, ushering in a magnificent golden era. It began with the Copa America 2021 title, ending a painful 28-year trophy drought for an entire nation before reaching its peak with the 2022 World Cup. And then came the Copa America 2024 title, completing the double. By 2026, with Messi now 38 years old, and struggling with a persistent hamstring injury that left his availability uncertain, Scaloni made a decision that almost no coach in the world would dare to make. He handed full authority back to his favourite student. He openly told the media that he was not the one making the decision, because Messi had earned enough status and influence to calmly decide his own future.
Y en cuanto a Leo, no hablé de esta situación del Mundial, solo sé lo que ha declarado y sé que se va a tomar con tranquilidad todo este tiempo, que así lo merece, y dejarlo tranquilo, y lo que decida estará bien, no mucho más que eso.
And so, on that magical night in Kansas City, right after Messi completed his incredible hat-trick, the cameras captured a remarkable moment. Scaloni, a man renowned for his absolute composure on the touchline, could not hold back tears of joy on the technical bench. That emotional image perfectly encapsulated one of football's most remarkable reversals of fate. Because just 8 years earlier, he had been the man making the phone call, hoping for the chance to work with a legend at the height of his powers. Yet on that historic night, the boundary between coach and player seemed to disappear entirely. He was simply a passionate fan, completely powerless to hide his emotions in the face of the miracles his student had just produced on the pitch. That sacred moment not only silenced all doubts regarding their bond, but also reignited the biggest question that has fueled endless debates in cafes and football communities around the world for the last 2 decades. Who truly is the GOAT, the greatest player of all time?
So is he the greatest of all time?
He's my favourite player of all time. I've not seen every player of all time, Dan, so I can't say he's the greatest, but he's my favourite. How about that?
If that's a game we're playing and I'm picking one player for one match, it's in my backyard at the Moreno Mental, I'm picking Ronaldo Nazario, Fenomeno from Brazil. That would be my guy. But again, I'm not going to sit here and make an argument against Lionel Messi, because that would be silly.
Although Pelé remains the only player in history to have lifted the World Cup trophy 3 times, Messi possesses 8 Ballon d'Or awards, at least 3 more than anyone else, and has also conquered domestic titles across 3 different football cultures, from Spain and France to the United States. That unforgettable night in Kansas City was yet another powerful blow in that endless debate. What made it even more special was that this time, the man stepping forward to affirm his greatness was not a passionate fan, but a legend from Argentina's fierce rival nation, Brazil. Standing before the media, this Brazilian legend did not hesitate to declare that it was time for the world to stop avoiding the truth and accept that Messi is the greatest player of all time. That powerful statement came from the phenomenon Ronaldo Nazario, an icon who won the World Cup twice with Seleção and who had just been surpassed by Messi on the list of the greatest goalscorers in the history of the tournament. Even more remarkably, Ronaldo Nazario openly ranked Messi above Pelé, the greatest compatriot of his own nation. This acknowledgement was never intended to diminish Cristiano Ronaldo, as the Portuguese superstar himself is still tirelessly writing the story of his own 6th World Cup on American soil. Yet every time people think the decades-long debate has finally been settled, Messi somehow finds an entirely new way to remind the football world that he is far from finished. It is precisely this relentless fighting spirit and the constant creation of new milestones that have forced fans to begin imagining an even greater possibility. In nearly a century of World Cup history, only 2 nations have successfully defended their crown. Italy between 1934 and 1938, and Brazil between 1958 and 1962. Now, Argentina, with a 38-year-old Messi wearing the captain's armband, stands on the verge of becoming only the third nation to accomplish this miracle after nearly 64 years of waiting. If that truly happens, this will no longer be a story about determining the winner of the familiar Messi versus Ronaldo debate. Instead, it will become a story about redefining the very concept of age limits in the world's most beloved sport. While Pelé lifted his final World Cup trophy at the age of 29, Messi, if successful, would become a champion again at nearly 39 years old, creating a gap of almost an entire decade compared to the man long regarded as the historical standard.
The fact that I can say one day to my kids that my first World Cup game ever was watching my national team against the world champions and against the greatest player of all time is something you never forget.
From that moment on, people will no longer ask whether Messi or Ronaldo is greater. The question will be whether anyone in the future can ever replicate what this man has accomplished at an age when most of his peers have long since retired. In Algeria, the first victim caught in that storm in Kansas City may ultimately be remembered as nothing more than a footnote in a far greater epic that Messi continues to write with every match he plays. All of those extraordinary possibilities are no longer distant dreams of the future, but realities unfolding right before our eyes through undeniable facts. At the age of 38, Messi has just recorded his first ever World Cup hat-trick, officially equalled the all-time scoring record, and compelled one of Brazil's greatest legends to publicly acknowledge him as the GOAT. Such overwhelming dominance proves that the epic of the Argentine superstar is still approaching its most thrilling chapter, with at least 2 more group stage matches ahead of him to continue writing new pages in the history of world football. If you enjoy our video, don't forget to hit like to help this video reach to other football lovers, and hit the subscribe button to follow for more interesting videos about football stories. See you in the next video.